It is race day here in Braselton, Georgia, as the Formula College World Championship takes on Hall County. Here for tonight's running of the Sandown is for sure better than this Grand Prix, presented by Clint Halterman. Tonight, we're taking on Road Atlanta, sponsored by Michelin Speedway, for our 7th race of the season. So thank you all for joining us. I'm your host, Cade Corbin, joined up in the booth by Jonathan DeCasio, and behind the scenes tonight will be Christian Hill. Qualifying is underway as we speak, and we'll be ready to take the green flag here in just about 10 minutes. So as we look forward to this race, Jonathan, I gotta ask, what are you looking forward to today, and how is this race going to compare to all of the other Road Atlanta action that we've seen this week?
I'm really excited to just see how everyone can be patient, especially in the tight sections. I know that everyone wants to get going, and I think if everyone can just be patient, and we can have a really good race going forward.
And what you mentioned there, patience is absolutely key. A very narrow track, a very twisty track, and a very bumpy track caused a lot of chaos last season. It was our Muhammad Ali who ran away with it and took the win ahead of teammates Lucas Moody and Cale Davidson. I mean, this race was an absolute demonstration of the wall of ball, but it came not without a couple of near incidents and a lot of really close calls with catastrophe. So we'll see if Ball State can defend their podium sweep again. We'll take a look here at the schedule for the remainder of the season. We're already in the back half of the year, this race 7 out of 13. So drivers starting to think about that championship, look at where they are in the point standings, and see what they can do about that. We're going to Barber next week, another twisty track, a lot of elevation changes, very similar to Road Atlanta, another track down here in the south. Then we go to our first short track of the season, first and only, Milwaukee Mile, Mugello, Red Bull, Portland, and then the Oval, Kansas rounds out the season, so a lot of good stuff there. Mentioning points, we'll go ahead and take a look at those standings as they run. Now, this is a combination of points accrued at both ovals and road courses. So you've got to be good at both disciplines if you want to put yourself in a good position in the overall standings. So we'll get those pulled up here. While we're waiting for that, we do want to mention last week we apologize for not having a broadcast. We had a little bit of a scheduling issue go on behind the scenes. That race was at Long Beach. It was won by Jake Cummings. Keegan Callick had a career best finish of second. Dylan Beatty led some laps and finished third, so the good showing from Ball State there. Wyatt Burton sat on the pole, but unfortunately an incident on lap 1 knocked he and Edwin Onofre out of contention. So all those drivers looking to get back in it and get another chance. Cummings looking to go back-to-back after grabbing his first career win last week, and hopefully get himself some much-due laurels. So now taking a look at those points here, Jake Cummings with that win moved himself up into second in the standings, just 2 points behind our Muhammad Ali, Keegan Callick. Again, that incident with Onofre was able to move ahead of that car. So those are the top 4 here, looking at the back half of the field. Now back up to the front. A few of these drivers not participating today. Some of these guys on partial schedules. Ricky Paz and Nick Stockner not in the field. But everybody else trying to defend themselves. And we do want to keep an eye on Aaron Gosler down there in the 10th spot right now, leading the Rookie of the Year standings for the Formula College Series. Looking back here, running back to 20th, all these drivers have had a few good runs each. I think just about every driver in the top 20 has scored at least one top 5 this season, so a lot of parity, a lot going on. You do love to see it. Here's the rest of that field here. There's Clint Halterman, our sponsor for tonight's race. He's looking to grab back a lot of points at a track that he has a lot of experience at, and everybody else is chasing current points leader, our Muhammad Ali. So here's a list of guys, some of these drivers yet to make their first start of the season, and don't believe any of them in the field tonight, so we will see all returning faces here at Road Atlanta. So now we'll go ahead and take a look at some facts about the track. Jonathan, if you could tell us about this winding racetrack down in Georgia.
Yeah, this beautiful track of Road Atlanta is a 2.54-mile circuit with 12 turns with all sorts of elevations and blind corners, as it has opened in 1970 in September with a very Decent sized pit speed too at 45 miles an hour. The lap record here is a 104.8, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of these Indy cars get really close to that. But like I was saying before, this track has a lot of blind corners. There's probably going to be lots of missed apexes today, but overall, this track's a lot of fun, and I'm super excited to see what these drivers can do.
So qualifying has just wrapped up. Looks like we're going to have about 17 cars here in the field today. So thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you'll be able to sit back, relax, and enjoy this 65-lap race here in Hall County, Georgia. If there's a specific driver or somebody that you'd like us to shout out, maybe a team you want an update on, go ahead and let us know in that YouTube chat. We'll be keeping an eye on that all night. Already seen some shout outs for Stell Beasley and Brennan Lyman, two of the drivers that will be racing here tonight. But on the front row, it is R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State and last week's winner, Jake Cummings from Converse, continuing his great run. Back in row number 2, Dylan Beatty, another BSU driver. Then Mr. Excitement, Wyatt Burton from Trine, will roll off on the outside of row number 2. Back in the 5th spot, it's Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama in Huntsville, making a one-off start here tonight at one of his favorite racetracks. He starts next to Michigan winner Lucas Moody from BSU. Back in row 4, it's Ben Fior, another driver making a one-off. He starts next to Nick Henley, another driver from that wall of ball. And rounding out the top 10, Keegan Callick from St. Clair College, and last year's Long Beach winner, Cale Davidson.
And in the 11th position, we have number 78 of Brennan Lyman, and right behind him in the 12th position is number 38 of Adrian and Tubakovic. And in the row behind him, we have 22 of Jake Dick and Stell Beasley in the number 70 for University of Delaware. And in the 15 to 16 spot, we have Logan McKim from St. Clair College rocking the number 3 and the number 30 of Aaron Gosler at Kansas State University. And in 17th position, we have 172 from Kansas State University, Josh Camphor, and representing Valparaiso University, number 19 of Ricky Paz. And rounding out the final row is the 123 of Drew Williams from Clemson University and Willie Vela, number 5 of Kansas State University.
That is your fields for tonight's race. This is for sure, Sandown is for sure better than this. Grand Prix, Clint Halterman wanting to let everybody know what the best racetrack is on the planet, and it is not this one down in Georgia. So I believe the last 3 drivers on the grid there will not actually be making the green flag for today's race. That leaves us with 17 Dallara IR18 cars set to take the green flag in just a couple of minutes. The field getting ready to grid up, but now we've been talking about it here before we went live. It's time to make some picks, and Jonathan, you're the guest here, so I'm going to let you go first. Who do you got winning tonight's race?
I think by the end of tonight, I'm going to go with the number 81 of Ryan Whitlock.
And I can definitely respect the representation for UAH there, University of Alabama in Huntsville. But I am going to have to look on the outside of that front row. Jake Cummings carrying a lot of good momentum into this race, ran really well here last season. I believe was caught up in an incident which kept him from finishing the race inside the top 3. So if he can stay out of trouble today, I think Cummings is going to be a guy that's going to be able to challenge. It's going to be really, really hard to beat R. Muhammad Ali, though. He has been on fire already. 2 race wins this season, looking to make it number 3. So their warm-up session wrapping up now. Just want to remind you guys, there's a couple of tire compounds in play for today's race. A softer compound that should wear a little bit quicker, but make drivers go a little bit faster on the short run. That as opposed to the primary tire, it's a little bit firmer, but keeps grip a little bit longer into the run. So drivers will have to spend at least 1 green flag lap, likely more than that, on each type of tire, so they'll be balancing that throughout the race. And they also have 200 seconds of push to pass. A little bit of a Mario Kart power-up, gives the car a little bit of a boost and aids in making passes and trying to break the draft. Going to be all important down the long straightaway out of turn 7. And that's just a couple of things that drivers are going to be balancing behind the wheel. Always very technical, always a lot going on, and always brings out the best and the best of the CIO.
And the weather today here on October 16th is a solid 71 degrees Fahrenheit outside with a track temp of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a little bit cloudy and there are some winds going southwest, so we could see a little bit more top end, and making sure that when you're in the slipstream you're going to gain a little bit more in the draft. And there is a 82% chance of rain that is scheduled as well.
The weather could be playing a factor in this one. We saw that at Spa. There were some clouds rolling into the area, never actually opened up on the track. We see it's right now sunny in Road Atlanta, but there may be an opportunity for drivers to keep their eyes to the skies and consider putting on some wet tires late in the race if precipitation does fall. You saw Lucas Moody kind of get sucked away by the aliens there. That means it's time to grid up and get rolling behind the safety car here for the Sandown. Is for sure better than this Grand Prix. Down at Road Atlanta, just minutes away from the green flag now. So we're going to get these cars set up on track. Want to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors, especially the University of Northwestern Ohio. They'll be sponsoring the replays for today's race. If you want the best in the high-performance engineering motorsports industry, please go check out unoh.edu to find more about all of their motorsports programs. We do, of course, also want to shout out Clint Halterman, the driver from UNC Charlotte, for sponsoring this race. He is running, for the most part, full-time this season. We saw him there in the point standings, looking to gain a lot today. I don't think I actually saw him in the field for today's race, so no opportunity to gain points there. But Halterman still putting his money and his time towards the CIL, and we want to shout him out and thank him for that. And of course, we want to shout out all of the admins and everybody who works behind the scenes to make this possible. There's a lot that goes on that you guys don't see, but if you would like to see it and join the league, go ahead and check out all of our social medias down in the description of the YouTube video, and you can see what the CIL is all about. So we'll have just one lap of pacing here. This lap could prove to be pretty important tire heat, something that we talk about a lot in these cars. You got to get those Firestone tires to their optimal temperature, Jonathan. It can be really, really hard to run the race when the tires are cold, so you have a little bit of an opportunity here to try to build some temperature.
Yeah, one with the tires is going to be really crucial, especially for the drivers, which I can see a couple of them running on that harder compounded tire. It is very important to get those hard tires nice and warm so they can compete right off the rip. Compared to the front runners, or some people running as well, as we can see who's running on the harder compounds and who are running on the softer. The softer compound is going to be the red circle that you see, and the harder compound is the white. And you could see that Ryan Whitlock in that top 5 is going to try and use those softer tires to his advantage. But like as I was saying before, getting those harder compounds nice and warm so they can compete with as close as they can to the soft runners is going to be super important, Cade.
Yeah, and that's going to be something to watch here early on in this race. Whitlock, and you can see Calic back there in the 9th spot. Both of them should have a little bit more grip in the first couple of laps of this race compared to the top 4, and then Moody, Fior, and Henley. So they're going to be looking to make moves early, maybe get some track position, and then try to keep it as the race is going on here. So they're going to be able to use the track position, defend. A lot of these narrow corners do not present passing opportunities. And so if you can get in front of somebody, block them for a little bit, if you lose grip later in that run, you may be able to hold on to the spot. But that is going to be something that they are going to manage and navigate here. Down the long straightaway behind the safety car for hopefully the only time today. And after that, these drivers will see the green flag behind the familiar front row of R. Muhammad Alif and Wyatt Burton. Those drivers starting well as well. So here we go. The safety car is off. Alif gonna wait, lead him into the restart zone and hit the gas. And we are racing here in Hall County, Georgia.
They're coming through this S section is now running over the curb. These blind corners, everyone is making it through. nice and clean, nice single file. We do see some battling in the back of the pack, but this uphill section is such a beautiful place to watch these cars absolutely fly through here. And so far, everything has been nice and clean as we... Oh, there looked to be a little bit of a dive down to the inside for P2. Dylan Beatty is looking to be pretty aggressive on the start here. As now we are heading to the back section, I want to know if there's going to be any push to pass going as we are on board with Ryan Whitlock as he's trying to look for that P3 position. He's looking around to the outside. He has a softer compound, so he should be able to make a stick. He brakes super late around the outside and gets it done nice and smooth. As it looks like another person has slipped through as Dylan Beatty loses another spot as well.
Yeah, we talked about Whitlock being one of the guys trying to gain some spots on those alternate tires. He's +2. Calic's still stuck back in the 9th position. I think now that the first lap is done, he's kind of lost some opportunity. I think he had to pounce just like the 81 car. Now stuck behind Lucas Moody. The more laps to go on, the more time that passes, the less opportunities the driver from St. Clair is going to have. Right now stuck in traffic. You can see just a line of cars in front of him. He's going to try to pick him off as quick as he can, but for the moment, just settling in back in the 9th spot. Did neglect to mention earlier, Ricky Paz did make the start of this race, did take the green flag, so it's 18 cars out here, and from the back of the field, Paz, you can see him on the push to pass right now, has driven from 18th all the way up to 12th. Here's a move for the 2nd spot. Ryan Whitlock took really low in turn 9, tried to peek to the outside of Jake Cummings. He should have a big run here into the final corner of the track if he can get to the right rear of the 95. No, Jake Cummings slams the door. These two have been going at it for years, and if this being the one start for Ryan this season, he definitely wants to make the most of it. Going to swing to the outside and try to get a little bit of a late apex there in turn 1, but I think he's going to have to wait until at least 6 to get the run on Jake Cummings.
And Ryan Whitlock is making good use of these soft compound tires. He right now has the bonus point for the fastest lap, but all this battling is costing them time to our Muhammad Ali, as you see Ryan Whitlock and Wyatt Byrne are going to be using the push to pass, and Ryan still cannot get in front of that number 95 of Jay Cummings as he's back on the push to pass. It is very crucial as well to strategize the push to pass. You don't want to use too much too soon because you still need something to be on the race. So now he looks down to the inside of Jay Cummings. We're going to see if the move is going to be made. They are still side by side going to this little tight chicane, and he makes the move stick. Jay Cummings now falls down the 3rd, but he's got to be very careful because Wyatt Byrne is looking to pounce as well. He is right underneath the rear wing of the 95 Converse University. Going into turn 1 once again, and they're going to stay single file. I think that is very important. And Ryan Whitlock now needs to keep his head down and try to gain some time back on Muhammad Ali, who has set the fastest lap of the race.
And something that you mentioned there was kind of really crucial early in this race. The more that Cummings defended Whitlock got off his line a little bit, basically gave up time. You can see the outcome was essentially the same. I mean, either way, the 81 got around the 95. Now the gap, instead of being 1 second, it's nearly 2.5 from Alif back to Whitlock. So the big advantage there for Cummings is he maybe forced Whitlock to use a little bit more tire, burn that alternate compound up just a little bit sooner. Even though we did give up the position, that's the only advantage he had to gain. Other than that, it was a little bit of a mutual loss this early in the race. I don't know how I feel about the decision to defend the 81 super hard there, but Brian's going to have the opportunity to try to set some really fast laps, lay on the push to pass. If he can get in the toe of our Muhammad Ali, he might be able to catch him here, but by the time he gets there, those alternate tires might be toast.
Yeah, I'm right with you. He's going to be using a lot of tires just to catch up to our Muhammad Ali, but then as soon as he gets in that 1 second range is when the draft starts working. That is where you're going to see the dirty air starting to kick in and start grinding the tires. And we are on board with Dylan Beatty from Ball State University as Keaton Calic on those softer compound is stuck behind, and I'm pretty sure he's going to try and make a move here soon. As Dylan Beatty's also trying to capitalize on the P5 position, which is held by Ben Fiore currently, as they are heading down to the back straight. And we're going to see if there's going to be a move set. They are not on the push to pass, It looks like they're just going to be chilling in a single file line, probably saving the fuel, especially when you draft, and saving that push to pass as well. As Dylan Beatty gets a little bit sideways out of that corner, this could be a great opportunity for Keegan Cowlick to capitalize, but it looks like he's just going to be complacent and chill right behind him as they enter turn one. A beautiful corner. It's down one gear, maybe two. Super fast corner, super fast as we are up into this blind corner, which is super fun as well, even though you can't see the corners. Now we are heading down to the S's. Beautiful camera angle. Cameraman's doing a great job right now through the S's. Ride the curb. You can use so much of that exit curb as well to carry even more momentum through it, as Keegan Cowlick is doing an amazing job so far. Another really fast corner. Little dab of the brake. We're in fourth gear, down to two. Make sure you don't, if you turn in too late, you're going to miss the apex. It's a very deceiving corner. As when you make a good apex and you get a good launch the corner, we are going to be flying down the straightaway as we are still on board with Keegan Cowlick trying to make a pass here on Dylan Beatty.
is not quite able to get it done, but Beatty gets really squirrely trying to put the power down right as you crest that hill. If you get the left side tires on the curb, you can lose the back end, and that's exactly what happened to the BSU driver. Been running really, really well recently, but that moment there is going to drop him from 6th to 7th, give another spot to Cowlick now. The driver from St. Clair is +3 on the day. Another driver on the move. Ricky Paz is now broke into the top 10, gotten around Nick Henley. He is +8. Driver going the wrong way, Cale Davidson. He slipped back a little bit, but here's Ricky Paz. He's gotten up to 10th, representing both ECU and Valparaiso on the bumper of Brennan Lyman from OPSU. I believe this is Lyman's his second road course of his FC career, but right now putting a really good defense on a driver who has raced a lot of open wheel esports events. So Ricky Paz knows what he's doing. You can see he's in the draft. He should get a little bit of a run on the 78 here, trying to track him down and slowly pick up these positions. Has a little bit of a look to the inside of turn 10. Definitely not close enough to make the move, but under braking closes up a lot of time. Really good exit for the 78 though. And I think Paz is going to have to wait at least another lap before he'll get the opportunity to make a move.
As we ride on board with Ricky Paz, he did start towards the back of the grid. I think he started last on the grid in 18th, and now he has worked his way into the top 10 as he is trying to get by Lyman, who, as you said, Cade, is a very respected open wheel driver, Formula driver. And by now, I think we're going to start seeing soon the softer tires starting to fade, as we can look in the top and you can see Jake Cummins has slowly started his comeback onto Ryan Whitlock, who now is losing time on Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is just setting very consistent lap times right now, as we are on board with Ricky Paz still, and we're going to see if he's close enough to get the pass for P9. He is closing in. Is he going to be brave enough under the brakes? He looks for the move down the inside alongside as he slides through. Perfect move. And he can move on to hunt down Lucas Moody for P8. And Keegan Cowlick right now is behind Ben Fiore, as he has gone by Dylan Beatty not that long ago. And we're going through the blind corner. Keegan Cowlick is still making good use of those softer tires. I bet you he is really wanting to get into the top 5 and get that really good track position for later on when the piss-offs start forming in.
We're expecting to see those stops somewhere around the lap 21, maybe lap 22 mark. That'll make it exactly a 2-stop race on fuel. Come about 21, maybe come about 42 or 43, and that should set you up to the end on fuel. But it means you've got to run a pretty long stint on those alternate tires. Something we saw right there when Brennan Lyman gave up that spot to Ricky Paz. He had those red sidewall tires on just like Cowlick, and I think that was part of the reason why he was able to put up defense for the first 7 or so laps. But once those tires started to lose just a little bit of heat, opened up the door for Ricky Paz to get around him. Keegan Cowlick hasn't seen that much fall off, but he's lost just a little bit of time to Fior now. I think you're right. I think we are at that crossover point. So drivers are going to write that down in their mental notebooks. Lap 10 is when the switchover starts to happen and the primary tires with the black sidewalls start to be just a little bit faster than the ultimates. That soft compound has given up that time and they are starting to slide backwards. So we'll see how much damage control Calic can do. Got a really good run on Fior right there, though. Has a look to the outside of 6. Fior shuts the door. I think Calic, maybe if he was an aggressive driver, would have thrown it down to the bottom, but I think does the smarts thing and stays in line. He's going to get the chance to get the toe and get a really good run down the backstretch here all the way through turn number 9. If he can get on the binders late going into turn 10, he may have the opportunity to pass the 555 in a one-off from Maris. Had a little bit of a dummy that he tried to show Fior right there, was never going to commit to it. He's going to stay in line for another lap. A little bit off track there. That might have been an incident point from iRacing. Got to be careful how many of those collect, but able to keep the car under him and still rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, we saw him get a little sideways. The softer compound is starting to fade, especially when you are in that dirty air as well. But I think Keegan's doing a great job right now. He knows that his tires are fading, and it's better just to try and stay in the draft because now he can start saving fuel as well. And if we look at the relative too, I think they were catching the people in front as well. But right now, Keegan, I think, is doing a very smart job of just staying behind and saving that fuel and as much tires as he can, so he can hold on to that track position. Because he did start in the 9th place. He has moved up 3 spots with those softer compounds, so he's definitely looking in a very good fight for a podium if they can keep this pace up as we are going down once again downhill, hard braking into this little chicane. Get as close as you can to the curb. Curbs here are really not that bad, especially in a Formula car, especially when you're going through the uphill S's. You got to make sure that you're just getting 1 or 2 tires on them. You're not going a little bit more than that, because then the bottom of the car is definitely not going to be happy, especially with Formula cars, as they are very easy to get disrupted over the curbs here. But once again, we are going up through this beautiful section. Keegan Calic has been getting great runs here the past couple laps on Ben Fiore. He looks closer than he has been, but once again, better to be patient and just stick behind and save some fuel. But he's also got to be careful because Dylan Beatty has just been waiting and biding his time. I know he's definitely going to want to be moving up as well. As we see Keegan... Oh, sorry, Cade.
Yeah,
as we see Keegan Calic go down the inside.
Now. Yeah, they're going to be side by side down into turn 10. Calic is able to outbrake Fior. Fior is going to get a little bit of a chance for a crossover here if he can close it on corner exit. But what I was going to say is these two have to be careful, because if they get to fighting and the door opens, Dylan Beatty is right there. He will be able to pounce. He will be able to make a jump. You see now Fior not too happy about giving up that position. He's going to fight back to the inside to try to take the 5th spot. Now Beatty is moving as well, decides to back out before they hit 2 and 3. I think a wise decision from the driver of the 20 there. Like you've mentioned, Jonathan, that's kind of a blind corner. You can't really see either of those curbs, and you have to nail them. First you go to the left, then you go to the right, and if you miss either of those apexes, you're going to lose a lot of time, or potentially you're going to be off in the grass. So Fior slams the door a little bit here into 6 and is going to maintain the position through 7, but all of that battling has brought Lucas Moody and Ricky Paz into it. Calic a little bit of oversteer on the gas, as it is now a 5-car scrap for the 5th spot.
And here we go once again. Keegan Calic is definitely going to be trying to get that, try to get the spot back. Ben Fiore looks a little defensive, but they still follow single file through the chicane section. And I know Keegan Calic, he did it once. He knows he can do it again. But with the braking ability and the downforce that these cars have, it is super easy to go for a late move and make it stick. That's exactly what Ben Fiore did last time by. Keegan gets an amazing run through this uphill section and through the S's. We're going to see if he can try and do one of those great runs again, so he can try making a pass out of this corner. He looks really close now. Just not close enough. as here we go into the one of the slowest parts of the track. And we are now on board with Lucas Moody with Ricky Paz, who's in P9. He's also going to be looking for another position as he is on the push to pass. Goes all the way to the outside right now, but it'll be the inside for the next corner, which is the preferred position to be. And I think he's actually going to clear him before they even enter the corner, and he does. And now he's going to be looking forward to getting into the mix for the top 5 position as Jay Cummins has caught up with Ryan Whitlock, and it is a 3-car battle for second place as they are 7.3 seconds behind Muhammad Ali, who has just been running consistent lap times. And now with the tire compound starting to switch over, the crossover point has probably happened already. Muhammad Ali is just using those tires to his advantage. Jay Cummins gets a pretty poor run out of that corner and allows Wine Byrne to maybe get a little bit closer to even thinking about a move going down the back straight.
Yeah, I think Whitlock burnt a little bit of the good off those Firehawks. It's allowed the 95 and the 26 to close right back up to him. So this 3-car battle for second not going to go away anytime soon. You can see there's these 3, and then there's that train behind them for the 5th spot. 3 seconds between the two groups, racing a little bit like a short oval right now. But Cummings, I think, is kind of in the best spot here. He's going to be able to get some draft off of Whitlock as the tires continue the wear on that UAH machine. He might be able to jump the 81 and potentially, if he can get an undercut or play some sort of pit strategy, we've seen that really be one of the strong suits of the driver from Converse is his race strategy. If he can use that, he'll be able to pounce. And if he can't get the 81 on track, he should be able to get him in the pits. But then we might see a situation where it flips. If you've got Cummings on the reds and he pushes those alternate tires a little bit too hard, now you're going to see Ryan Whitlock be in the preferred position on primary. So a lot of games being played, and all of these games really started before the green flag dropped with drivers trying to figure out which compound they want it to be on for the start of the race. So we're just going to have to see how this one plays out. For the moment, Whitlock's still able to maintain that position using the lack of braking zones to his advantage.
As we are on board now with Jay Cummins, and as you said, Kate, there's not a lot of passing opportunities. That's why you have to be very patient, as well as we see some positions being swapped with Ricky Paz and Dylan Beatty on the relative, but we are right on board again with Jay Cummins. But like you said, Kate, there's not a lot of opportunities to pass here. That's why you got to make it count, but you also have to be very patient. And then I also said earlier when Ben Fury and Keegan Calick were fighting, these cars have a lot of downforce. These cars have a lot of front end grip as well. So to super easy, as I say, is overtaking is not an easy task. It's a lot easier in Formula cars to brake a lot later and actually be able to make the pass stick. So it's possible for these guys to send it from a car length back and actually be able to make the pass stick. Jay Cummings from Commerce University is looking forward to getting by Ryan Whitlock with those dying software compound as he is on the push to pass button, trying to get as close as he can. And we are now with a driver's eye perspective, Wine Byrne, who's watching the battle unfold, as we could see Jay Cummins just poking his nose in, just to let know Ryan Whitlock's there. A nice little scare tactic, as people do in cars, just to fill the mirror up. Jay Cummins is trying to make sure Ryan Whitlock isn't focused on going forward, but he is just looking at the mirrors as we are going through turn 1 again. I just absolutely love this section of the track. It is so cool. That's why it's iconic. Amazing track over the curb. Using that next curb on the inside to help the car rotate a little bit more. You don't want to get, like I said earlier, you don't want to get too much on these curbs. It'll disrupt the car, but you can use all of that exit. You're not going to get an off track from there either. To your name as Jay Cummins. Now we are definitely on board with the driver's eye cam. We can see exactly what Jay Cummins' wheel looks like, how smooth he is being as he is now on the push to pass. As we see a little bit of weaving from Ryan Whitlock trying to break the toe, but Jay Cummins is still on it. He is closer than he has ever been. He is still on the push to pass. He's looking down the inside into this little chicane. Jay Cummins, good positioning. parks it on the apex. It is hard for Ryan Whitlock to fight, especially with the dead softer compound tires, but he's on the push to pass again. He is looking down to the inside. He does not want to lose his position as Cummins is holding him to the inside, but since he has more grip, he is allowed to hold it around the outside and keep his position. What an amazing battle between these two drivers.
Yeah, but a nice job there by Whitlock. Didn't want to send it too deep and make contact there, so he is going to live to fight another day. Now, the meat and the sandwich between Cummings and Burton. He's going to potentially have another opportunity at the 95 if he has any push to pass left. But as he continues to burn through push to pass, burn through those tires, he's going to use less. He's going to have less and less opportunities. Something else to note here, it is bringing that group behind them closer. The more that these two battle, the more that they have to change their brake markers entering the corner side by side, the closer that Calic and Fior and Paz and Baby, that entire group can get so much closer. This time they're going to be single file down into the heavy braking zone of turn 10, so they're going to be able to run their lines that they want. As we see a few drivers hitting the pits towards the rear, the window has opened to potentially make this a one-stop with two really long stints. So we're seeing Camphor, Ghostler, McKim try that out as Cummings has to take a defensive line into turn number 1. One other update we do want to give you, Cale Davidson from Ball State experiencing some internet issues, so unfortunately he has dropped out of the race. At the moment being scored in last place, trying to find a way to get back on track. But we've seen this earlier in the year, internet issues continuing to persist for Davidson. As at the moment he is being scored in the last position. This battle not giving up, although we may see these drivers on pit road soon as Fior gets ever closer, now within a second of Burton for the 4th spot.
As you're saying, the pit window is starting to open up, but I wouldn't be surprised if these drivers can actually go a lot longer. With the likes of Ryan Whitlock, Jay Cummings, Ryan Burton, they've been in a train for a long time. As Keegan Calic looks to make gets overtaken by Ricky Paz, who has come from the back of the grid once again into the 6th position, 12 spots gained from him. Amazing comeback drive so far. Keegan Calic is still positive gain from where he started, but those softer compound tires are definitely starting to fade. He is just trying to hold on for the best he can. Same thing with Ryan Whitlock as well. With those softer compound tires, I think he is really just trying to hold on to that good track position and just stay in the draft as much as he can and save the fuel, as Keegan Calic gets a little bit loosey-goosey off the exit of that corner, as Ricky Paz now is pounding the rear of Ben Fiore for that 5th position, and I'm pretty sure Ricky Paz really wants to get into that top 5 with this comeback drive that he is on. Is he going to be? I don't think he's going to be close enough for a move down into this section, but I know for a fact he's thinking of ways. He's just studying Ben Fiore. Where can he make the pass? Where is it going to be smart? Where is he not going to lose the most time if he goes for a pass? And how much maybe he's thinking maybe he can go longer on the pit stops to see if he can get the overcut as well. Strategy is going to be a huge part of this race. Cade, what do you think? What do you think of everything going so far? How do you think the strategy is going to play out?
Well, something interesting to note right now is Keegan Calic has thrown it down pit road. He's the first of the real front runners to come down and make a stop. Everybody else who's been in pit lane has been sort of a driver not necessarily inside the top 10, but Calic has decided to bring it down. A really long stop for him and a long stop for his teammate Tubakovic. Don't know if those are related long stops, but on strategy, Calic was definitely looking like he was going to want to pit anyways. Those alternate tires, like we talked about, were really starting to wear out, and I certainly think that's a strategy, is to go really, really hard on the reds early, get them out of the way, and then put those primary tires on for your final 2 stints. And that way you have the most amount of grip for the most amount of time, and you still have that grip when you're going to need it at the end of the race. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see Whitlock in here, and yes, here he comes. Ricky Paz runs into the back of Ben Fiore. The front end of the 19 car is destroyed as this entire train of cars tried to pit at the exact same time, and it is disaster for Ricky Paz as Muhammad Alif comes in with this group. That'll cycle the lead to Wyatt Burton, but we're going to get another look at it here Ricky Paz, yeah, following these guys into pit road and just does not quite get on the brakes soon enough. He's able to stay out of that tire barrier and minimize the damage, but that is still very heavy contact. It's going to be really hard to come back from that one. Here's what happened to Tubakovic. Looks like it was potentially a similar issue. This is why there was an extended stop on the 38 car. Taking a look at how he came into pit road. This was just a couple of laps ago. Nails that cone, and unfortunately, he's clean through there and then just can't get the car back to the right. Very tricky pit entrance here. You've got to get the car slowed up while you're still on part of the racing line. And so that can make it very, very tricky to do in traffic. Even tricky to do by yourself like we saw there with the 38. So 2 cars with damage. I'm looking at the left rear of the 555. I don't see anything bent out of shape. No pun intended for Ben Fiore there, but I think he should be okay. Contact didn't look too severe. Definitely going to hamper Ricky Paz's day. Ben okay. Right now hanging on just behind the 95, who got jumped by Whitlock in the pits. We were singing Cummings' praises, his ability to get on and off pit road earlier, but Whitlock actually able to do a little bit better than him. As now both the 81 and the 555 have gone on those primary tires. You can see Cummings with the alternates. It takes them a long time to get up a temperature, and we're seeing that right now just a couple laps into this run. I don't think those red sidewall tires are performing at their peak grip. It's going to take them a couple of laps, but as soon as they kick in, they'll kind of switch on, and that should give Cummings a brief opportunity to run Whitlock down and try to retake the second spot.
And Beasley has a meatball flag. We're going to see what happened going down into the chicane. Nice little curb section. Does he just dip a tire in the grass? Yes, he does. And he just goes left and into the wall. Hopefully that wasn't a wheel issue, but now he is just chilling in the pits, wondering what has happened as Nick Henley in P9 is looking to gain a position on Dylan Beatty with those softer compound tires. Brakes early. He's going to try and set up a good run through the final chicane, going down into the final corner to enter the short street to start another lap. We are running in 6th gear here, going into turn 1. Use a little bit of the exit, down 1 gear into 5th. Now we are going to get the car as close over to the right as you can. Gets really close to the curb, upsets the car a little bit, down into 3rd gear, up into 4th, up into 5th, as we are going to be going through this beautiful uphill section once again. Down the gears, back up through the gears as we are heading into a right-hander coming up, another short little braking zone. But so far I am honestly, this race is going to be very interesting, especially with all the battling that's been going on. Second on back has a really good chance of getting onto the podium. Our Muhammad Alif, though, is currently all by himself, setting another fastest lap of the race. Wyatt Byrne is in 2nd. I don't know if he has made his pit stop yet, but is just chilling in 2nd place with Ryan Whitlock, like you said, Cade, jumping Jake Cummings in the pits, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Jake Cummings on that softer compound tire really wants to get back in front of Ryan Whitlock before these tires fade.
Burton actually had pitted with that same group. He was behind both Whitlock and Cummings before they decided to bring it down pit road, but he was able to jump both of them and go from the 4th spot to the 2nd spot. So a really good pit sequence for Wyatt Burton. He hasn't been able to break away from these other two, but he has been able to maintain that position. So running some really solid lap times on that prime tire. If these two get to battling in his mirror, that's exactly what he's going to want to see. Slow both of them down, give Burton a little bit of breathing room. I don't know how much he'll be able to cut into a Leafs lead, but if he can solidify that 2nd spot, it'll be a really, really good showing for the driver from Trine, proving that he can get it done even if the track is not an oval. Right now, that was a really good lap from Ryan Whitlock. Whitlock has closed it down from 7/10 to 2/10. Now it's barely a car length as he is looking right at the gearbox of Wyatt Burton. Whitlock is going to have an opportunity, sends it to the inside here in turn number 1, gets the curb, and is able to complete the pass for the 2nd spot. And just like that, all the complexion of this entire group changes, as now it's Whitlock trying to break away, and it's Burton that Cummings is going to have to pass if he wants track position before those alternate tires start to burn themselves out.
I think that was a really good timing for Ryan to get the pass, because Wyatt Byrne looks like he is struggling on those tires. And right now Ryan is probably thinking, I need to run away, because Jake Cummings now is going to be stuck behind Wyatt Byrne on those tires. And now Ryan has a very good opportunity just to run away and increase the gap for this track position, as we are running on board with Jake Cummings from Commerce University, revving out the motor, going down through the gears once again, down in the second. Make sure the wheel is nice and straight. You want to be turning and hitting gas in these cars. You will be having a lot of wheel spin. The rear tires are not going to be happy with you. As Wyatt Byrne looks like he was close enough to make a pass. Ryan was a little bit defensive going into that corner, into turn number 1. Ryan Byrne now all over the curb, going through that blind corner. As now we are going through, as I said multiple times, this beautiful section of racetrack here at Road Atlanta, using all the track he possibly can to use all the momentum to get into this next corner, but he just is not close enough. But I'm pretty sure if he can get a good run out of this tight hairpin, one of the slowest parts, if not the slowest part of the track, if he can get a run out of here to maybe make a pass into the final chicane before entering the start-finish line. And also someone that's in the picture, Ben Fiore. I think that was Ben Fiore, but we are on board with Dylan Beatty. Dylan Beatty is fighting with Keegan Kallick, and Dylan Beatty is now on those softer compound tires, trying to fight and claw back some time here, going through entering turn number 1 here in a bit. The red on red, just absolutely amazing. The Ball State livery with the red tires just looks absolutely stunning around Road Atlanta right here. Actually uses a lot more curb than I've noticed compared to the other drivers, and it's a risky take. I know we said bottom him out if you hit it right without hitting an off track, it could actually launch you into a very good exit of the corner. Now he is going to be using all of the grip that he has in those softer compound tires, and now he is going to start pulling away a little bit from Keegan Kallick going down into the straightaway right now.
That was a battle that had been brewing for quite a while, but Beatty able to get it done. Now he's going to set his sights on Ben Fiore. It's about 2.5 seconds, the gap up to that 555, while Fiore was all over the bumper of Jake Cummings. Cummings was able to get some grip in those tires. I think getting some heat in them was difficult for the 95. The track a little bit cooler than it was earlier in the day. Part of the reason for that is the clouds have rolled in. You can see not as sunny as it was earlier, now down to 80%, a lot more humid than it was. The wind is blowing. There's a chance of rain here. That is an 89% chance of humidity. The rain chance right now only at about 30%, but the clouds have rolled in over Road Atlanta. That possibility is there, and we're not even at the halfway mark yet, so we definitely have the opportunity to see some raindrops, and that would throw an entirely new wrench in this race. I don't think anybody has really prepared for that. I don't know if anybody's running a strategy that kind of facilitates an easy switch to wets, but that might be something that you just got to be thinking out at the back of your mind. But right now, I think Jake Cummings is just focused on Ryan Whitlock. He's finally, that's why Burton is being focused on Ryan Whitlock. He's able to put some distance on Cummings and track down that 81. If he can stay right in that slipstream, he might be able to get him on the long run. I think on that first stint, the 26 was just a little bit better as the laps tick down. So he may be able to use that to his advantage to take this second spot before they hit the pits for the final time.
Yeah, and like you said, the cloud cover is coming. The track temp is starting to lower as well, so these cars are going to be absolutely rolling. The cooler temperatures with warm tires is going to be a product of some really good and fast laps, especially for the people on these softer compound tires for now. As we can see, that Jay Cummins has started to close in more on Wyatt Burton than Wyatt Burton has on Ryan Whitlock, as this is such a beautiful shot of 4 drivers as Keegan Kallick now is trying to fight back against Dylan Beatty around the outside. Well, the inside, which turns into the outside for this corner. Gets the pass done. I think he used a lot of push to pass, though, to make that happen. So he's probably going to have to be thinking about saving some push to pass later in the go of this race. And I'm pretty sure that Dylan Beatty is not happy and wants to get by as soon as he can. But at the same time, he is stuck in that dirty air of the driver in front of him, which is going to degrade those soft tires a lot more than whether if he was in clean air.
And something interesting to take a look at here, when you think about the results from last year's race, Lucas Moody was able to go up and run second, just a few seconds behind our Muhammad Alif. Now there is an entire 6 cars between them, and I think that speaks to drivers going out, practicing, finding some lap time. Even though they are a little bit strung out right now, there kind of isn't a whole lot of places for them to go. That really shows that they are all running really competitive lap times. They're all running really fast. Our Muhammad Alif, of course, kind of at his own zip code right now, but everybody else, I think, has stepped it up just a little bit from the last season. We haven't seen as many wrecks, haven't seen as many incidents. Still 15 cars on the lead lap. We're definitely going to be getting into lap traffic here soon at the halfway mark of this race. But before we do get, before Alif does catch the tail end of the field, it's been a pretty good showing thus far, and a lot of respect out to these guys. You can see it's not an easy thing to do for one lap, let alone doing it for 65 in a row. You see just how unsettled Kallick gets going over those curbs, but that's what you have to do if you want to make lap time, if you want to be fast. You got to be willing to put the car on the edge. So Kallick trying to run away from Dylan Beatty, as Beatty kind of coming under fire from his teammates. Now we talk about a 10-lap crossover point. We are definitely getting to that since our last pit stop was around lap 22-23. So now Lucas Moody on the push to pass has brought it down to just a couple of car lengths to Dylan Beatty. He may get a passing opportunity here in 10. He's going to look to the inside as Keegan Kallick drives away from that battle, and Moody is going to take the spot and take it convincingly. Puts a couple of car lengths on Dylan Beatty easy, move Moody up to the 7th spot, drop Beatty back to P8.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a little bit of contact for that position. It looks like Dylan Beatty, when we pan the camera over, there was some dirt on the track. But if so, if that's the case, I think it's just going to motivate him to get back into the fight and want to get that spot back. It has been respectful, but it's also been aggressive and fair as well, which I think has been really cool. A lot of aggressive moves have been made with when it comes to late braking or just very close battles, but it's always ended up really clean. Especially when there's a train of cars fighting for a position, as Dylan Beatty now is slowly, he's got to get those tires cleaned off, especially if there was a little bit of contact, and when dirt, it's going to take about a lap or so to get those tires cleaned off. But yeah, what an amazing shot there, going down the hill through this little chicane. This track just flows so nice, especially with these Indy cars. It is just so much fun to watch. And we are now at the halfway point, with a little bit over the halfway point, but our Muhammad Alif with the fastest lap of the race in P1, 16 seconds behind is Ryan Whitlock, followed by Wyatt Burton. That is your top 3 so far, but everyone is super close with each other right now. The top 5 separated by very little margins here, but a little bit further back, about 3.8 seconds, is Keegan Kallick, but I would not be surprised if he starts making his way forward too. Cade, I could be wrong, but I feel like the pit window for these guys is starting to come up very soon, and I feel like it's going to change some things in the order.
Yeah, it's going to be coming up quick here. You're probably going to want to pit somewhere between 20 and 23 laps to go. So that's going to be about lap 42 to maybe lap 45. Some of the guys who short pitted on that first stop are going to be dealing with a longer stint here. Meanwhile, the guys who ran a little bit longer, we saw Lucas Moody stay out and actually lead a lap. He'll be able to extend this stint if he wants and maybe pit a little bit closer to lap 45, maybe even lap 47. So he still has a little bit of a ways to go. Everybody else, I'd imagine, is going to be in sometime in the next 9 laps. I don't think the rain is going to roll in before then, so if it does start raining, they'll have an opportunity to switch to those wet tires, but I believe that we are going to stay dry for the rest of the day. But that fuel window will open here about 9 laps, and we've seen just how tricky it is to get on the pit road. 2 or 3 drivers wrecked out of this race trying to make pit stops. And so you're just going to have to be extra careful with, only 1 stint to go after you exit the pit. You're not going to have any time to recover from a mistake. Even if that mistake doesn't end your race, you give up any time there, you're going to have no opportunities to gain it back. So you've got to be super careful. You've got to be super... as a little bit of a moment there with a lap car. I believe that is Josh Kampfer, but yeah, you've got to be super careful getting to pit road. These guys are going to be thinking about that, probably going to be getting on the voice chat, letting everybody know when they're going to pit, because we want to try to avoid what happened last time. So, happened probably maybe 7 or 8 laps for most of the leaders.
And talking about that pit lane as well, Jake Cummings actually lost a little bit of time because of the blind pit entry. I think to some lap traffic. That's why you saw him fall down pretty far back from Wyatt Byrne as he was right on him. But like you said, that pit entry is over a crest of a hill. It is very hard to see, and especially when you're right behind someone, you can't really guess where they're going to be braking, with the same issue with Ben Fiore and Ricky Paz that we saw before, as Lucas Moody is going to see if he can get a move done on Keegan Kallick, especially before this pit window opens. But like I was saying before, the pit entry is definitely blind, just like all the other corners around this track, but it is the driver's job to make sure that they enter the pits nice and safe without writing a car off. So but yeah, as we are getting closer to that, Lucas Moody is going to make sure that he uses every last piece of grip in these softer compound tires over the curb. Get the car nice and rotate, tuck to the left-hand side, going up through the S's once again, trying to get a good run on Keegan Kallick, who has had amazing runs out of this corner before, and it is showing once again as now we are above Lucas Moody's head. Cameraman is holding on for dear life as we speak. Down in the first gear, second, third, a little bit of wheel spin. As you see, he is on the push to pass now. I know Keegan Kallick has been using a lot of it, so he's not going to be using too much to defend. Lucas Moody may actually have a lot still to spare, as he's going to be revving out here soon. Down to the inside, all the way on the button, down to the inside. And pass has been made. A little park on the apex just for good measure, so Keegan Kallick cannot get the crossover, but that does not mean the battle is done. But Lucas Moody back on the push to pass, going defensive. Keegan Kallick try to get a little bit of slipstream, uses more track than Lucas Moody. Is he going to try and get the crossover here? He is looking around the outside, but it's going to be a very hard corner, and Keegan Kallick is just going to have to let Lucas Moody win this battle so far and just chill behind. But what a move, what a battle. Cameraman stayed on for that excursion as well. So, and once again, Keegan Kallick, amazing run out of that corner, looking left and right, just can't seem to find a way. Opens the wheel, uses more track, down into the tight hairpin, first or second gear, depending on how slow you're going. Lucas Moody uses first, so when he gets on the probably has a little bit more wheel spin, but he is on the push to pass. Keegan Kallick is just chilling in the draft, and he's still there. He is still getting sucked in by the draft, but I don't think it's going to be enough. As we see the sun now start. Oh, a little late on the brake for Keegan Kallick, as he did not want to run into the back of Lucas Moody. A big mistake for Keegan Kallick, but at least there was no other incident. There was no contact, and both drivers can continue to go.
Yeah, I think Lucas Moody definitely a little bit, not necessarily early on the brakes, but it was kind of an aggressive move to stay wide as long as he did, and he was really hard on that brake pedal. Kallick may have had a little bit more grip at the bottom of the hill, and kind of had to swerve a little bit to stay out of the way. No harm, no foul. Definitely very aggressive move from both drivers, but that puts some breathing room between them. Lucas Moody now up to the 6th spot, trying to get back up to where he qualified and started this race. He started the day in P6, so he's gotten back up to where he rolled off. Calic still +2 on the day. Another driver having a good run. If we look back a little bit, Brennan Lyman is up to the 9th spot. Lyman started today in 11th, so he is +2. He just got around Nick Henley, who is -2 from where he ran when the green flag dropped. This battle on track closing up here. Ben Fior has gotten to within a few car lengths of Jake Cummings. They're well ahead of Lucas Moody, so no pressure out back for Fior. He's just got to put together really, really good lap times, see if he can't reel in that 95, and maybe make the pass before the pit cycle happens. Fior, I think, still has to put on alternate tires. Jake Cummings kind of has the option here of whichever tire he feels the most comfortable on. I don't think this set has been particularly nice to him. Wyatt Burton has driven away a little bit here, now about 3 seconds between those two cars. So we'll see what they do when they pit. Probably going to come in just a few laps. But Fior looks like he got a really good rotation through 7. Cummings had a little bit of an issue getting on the gas. He's going to use the push to pass to kind of cover up that mistake and maintain some speed down the straightaway, able to get the RPMs up and get away from Fior a little bit. But Fior is going to have the tow into turn 10, so Cummings takes just a bit of a defensive line. And for now, he is going to maintain that position. Although Ben Fior is still within just a few car lengths, he's going to be right back on that gearbox here in just a few turns.
Yeah, as Ben Fiore is starting to close in on Jake Cummins, those soft compound tires are not happy right now. Also, what I want to point out in the relative, Keegan Calic and Lucas Moody, after that close call that they had, Keegan Calic is now back on the rear end of Lucas Moody, as we are still riding on board with Ben Fiore from Morris College, as he gets a decent run out of the corner. Jake Cummins is just holding on for dear life to keep P4 position. But with this battling, as he slams on the brakes, parks it, tries to back up Ben Fiore a little bit more so he doesn't have a good of a run, but Jake Cummings now on the push to pass. Ben Fiore now is just tucked in behind in the draft. Let's see if he will decide to go for a move down to the inside. No, but Jake Cummins was a tiny bit defensive entering the corner. Got to be a little bit careful of moving under the braking though. But it looks like this battle is still just going to have to be brewing and waiting as well. Ryan Willock has made some inroads though on our Muhammad Alif, as we see Keegan Calic has dived into the pits as well. But Ben Fiore is still on the back of Wyatt Byrne. No, sorry, I'm so sorry. Jake Cummins for this 4th position. This is going to be a really good battle to the end, as we are going to start seeing some pit stops start forming soon. But everything right now is just waiting to happen when it comes to battling.
Yeah, that pit window is open, and it doesn't surprise me that Calic was one of the first drivers on pit road. He was one of the first to pit on the first stint as well. We see BSU's Jake Dick dropping down pit road. I'd imagine everybody else going to be in just 1 or 2 laps. But like we said, Ben Fiore wants to get that move done before then if he can. They're also catching up to some lap traffic. I think that's Nick Henley. The 64 for Ball State was involved in a little bit of an issue earlier in the race, lost a lot of track position, so that may play a factor into this battle. It's going to give Cummings a slipstream down the straightaway. Actually, Henley pulls off to the side and just lets them go. Good move there out of Henley, not wanting to involve himself in the leaders. Doesn't want to accidentally get in the way, especially with how single groove this section is. So Fior, for the moment, doesn't have to deal with that lap traffic. Going to have to pass Jake Cummings on his own. And with just 21 laps to go, I think you're going to start to get just a little bit more impatient. We've seen it before where drivers start to push the issue. That's when the mistakes happen. Now, they've been pretty good all race. Haven't seen a lot of them. But if guys start to get on the loud pedal just a little bit early, just a little bit too much, that could be where things go awry. And it looks like late in this race, we're going to have multiple battles to cover.
Yes, I think Keegan Calick did a good choice of coming into the pits. Now he's had a lot of pace, and I think he's trying to get that clean air so he does not have to worry about battling. And he's going to try and get the undercut on some drivers. As we are on board with Wyatt Burton, as Ryan Whitlock goes into the pits. Same thing with R. Muhammad Ali, Jay Cummins, and Ben Fury. So right now, your race leader is Wyatt Burton, as he is going to try and get a good gap to see if he can get the overcut on Ryan Whitlock, as we have 20 laps to go in the race. And I think the battles, like you said, Cade, are going to get really tight towards the end. But right now, still riding on board with the Trine University car. And Wyatt Burton, I don't know if he's going to pit. I think he's actually had a lot of time to sit in the draft and save fuel behind Ryan Whitlock in the number 81, as they are now back on track. Muhammad Ali still with the fastest lap of the race. But recently, Ryan Whitlock has started to close the gap in a bit on Muhammad Ali. I think at one point the gap was 15, 16 seconds. As now it is down into 12. So Ryan Whitlock has started to make some inroads. Same with all the other drivers as well. As Wyatt Burton continues another lap. I think he saved a lot of fuel behind Ryan Whitlock, which I think is a really good strategy call. Yes, it is a 65 lap race, but which is a long race, and Wyatt Burton is using that time to save fuel and to continue to go, as now he is going to be stuck behind some lap traffic. I know the blue flags for that driver are going to be waving, but hopefully it is going to get moved down the straightaway. Yep, as Wyatt Burton goes right by. Lap traffic lets him by. No harm, no foul. Good racing there. But we're going to see this time by if he is going to be pitting. And I'm super excited to see, since this overcut that he's trying to do, where he's actually going to be filing out into, with Muhammad Ali still being the net race leader. As he comes into the pits, gets it slow nice and early, does not want a speeding penalty. And I just wanted you, the viewers at home, to watch the relative on the left to see how close this is going to be between Ryan Whitlock and Wyatt Burton as well. And I would not be surprised if Ben Fiore will be in the mix as well, as he actually jumped Jay Cummings in the pits that last time by. As Keegan Calick, as we mentioned earlier, he pitted 2 laps earlier and about 4 laps earlier than Wyatt Burton to try and get that clean air. And right now he is on the back of Lucas Mooney, fighting for that 6th position. I think the strategy call was a good choice for him. And Cade, what do you think of that strategy call of pitting early?
Well, it definitely worked out for Lucas Moody. It looks like the overcut for the moment has worked for Burton. He's got just a few car lengths on Whitlock, but he's going to be dealing with cold tires here. So the 81's going to have the opportunity this lap to try to close in on Wyatt Burton. He's going to be really, really close here, but I think the advantage for Burton for running long is actually going to come at the end of this race. By being able to shorten this final stint, he's going to have to put less laps on this last set of tires, and he's going to be able to push harder for longer here. Just 18 laps to go. If we can get a look at Wyatt Burton, Ryan Whitlock, they are side by side right now, heading down into turn number 10. Whitlock on the outside, Burton on the inside. The 81's the one trying to make the pass, and with his tires already up to optimal temp, he is going to be clear, but by less than a car length as they hit the stripe. This time by, it'll be 18 laps to go, and Burton, like I said, may have the advantage on the end of this run. So he's trying to play the long game, trying to set himself up to be able to pounce when the checkered flag is flying. All he has to do right now is just stay close to Whitlock, and this is going to be a really good battle to the end. They've got 3.5 seconds back to Fiore, so no pressure there. They've got 15 seconds up to Alif. Muhammad Alif pretty much checked out, trying to win his 3rd race of the season. So these two really right now are the main battle on track. I know both of them. I've talked to both of them, know them both off track. Of course, Ryan was my coach for a little bit of a while, so know him pretty well, and neither of them are going to give this spot up easily. You can see already more than 17 laps to go, and they're already weaving on the straightaway, trying to break the draft, using the push to pass. Burton wants it now. He's going to look to the inside. If he can be the last to late breaker, he's going to get the spot. Ryan Whitlock not going to let him have it easy, though, with the crossover. If he can get there on corner exit, this looks exactly like it did a lap ago, but with the cars in the opposite positions. Next time by, Whitlock is going to look to swap it again.
Yes, now Ryan Whitlock wants to be fighting for that second place position, but I think right now he does have to concede with Wyatt Byrne. As you said, Wyatt Byrne is on that softer compound tire, which, yes, as of right now, will be quicker, but I think it's going to be very interesting towards the end of the race if Ryan Whitlock, who has shown that he can stay on pace with a little bit slower tire against some of the fast drivers this whole entire race, and if Ryan Whitlock can stay in the draft and try to maintain some good solid pace to keep up with Wyatt Byrne, who is now on the push to pass, trying to run away from Ryan Whitlock, I think that Ryan has a very good chance of getting that spot back. But right now, Wyatt is using everything he has right now to try and build a 1 second gap, and he so far is getting close to building that 1 second gap to get out of the draft, and he has done so. But there is about 16 laps to go in the race, and anything can happen. We know that these tires fall very fast with the softer compound tire, especially with all the turning. It is a high degradation track. So I think, once again, Cade, it's just going to be very interesting towards the end of the race, especially since these two drivers have such a big gap over Jake Cummins and Ben Fiore, who are still battling for that fourth position.
Yeah, that battle for P4 has closed up a little bit while Burton has checked out. I thought for sure they were going to be nose to tail to the end of the race, but instead, focus going to shift now to the fight for the fourth spot. Ben Fiore right now looks like he's locked up the highest finishing alumni driver if he doesn't make some sort of mistake. The only one in the field who could take that honor from him is Josh Kampfer. So Fiore really just has to run this one home, but he wants to do it running as good as he can, and kind of a one-off start here. So he's going to try to get Jake Cummings. Both of these drivers, I think, probably running in the same voice chat. I know they are friends off the track. As it gets a little bit squirrely there in 10A, does Fiore able to lock it down and keep the car straight, but just lost maybe a tenth or two to Cummings there, and it's going to take him a while to gain that back. You can see him on the alternates, Cummings on the primaries, and so that kind of puts us in the same situation that we saw with Burton and Whitlock. Once Burton was able to get around the 81, he kind of checked out a little bit. But I will say this, if we think back to the beginning of the race when Ryan Whitlock was on the alternate tires, he was able to build up about a 3-second gap back to Jake Cummings and Wyatt Burton. But by the end of the run, which was about 20 laps later, they had closed right back up to the bumper of that 81 car. So if you flip the script now, you're thinking Fiore might be able to get Cummings, but is going to have to play defense at the end of the run. Same thing for Burton. Even though he has 2 seconds on Whitlock right now, he may lose some of that time at the very tail end of this run. Still 14 to go in this one. It's going to be an opportunity for Whitlock to use the longevity in those tires to catch back up to the driver from trying.
Yes, now we are on board with Ben Fiore, still trying to catch the likes of Jay Cummins on that soft compound of tire, but Ryan Whitlock now is 2.2 seconds behind Wyatt Byrne. But sooner rather than, Ryan hopes sooner rather than later that those soft tires are going to start fading as Ben Fiore mounts the curb to maximize the track. Gets very close to those curves again. Misses a little bit of turn then, but that's also due to the dirty air from the driver in front of him. Down in the third gear, getting it nice and slowed down for the corner. But Wyatt Byrne now is still trying to just run away from Ryan Whitlock, trying to use all the tires that he can. But I think he actually has to start saving some as well for the end battle, because Ryan Whitlock has not really lost anything and hasn't really gained anything this lap either. he's just kind of been the same, which I think is a very good sign for Ryan to start closing in. I'm also a little bit biased because he was my pick for this race. So, yeah, he is starting to slowly gain in a bit. But Ben Fiore and Jay Cummins right now is the closest battle that we have on track. But let's see if Ryan can start making some inroads, as he has picked up 3/10 on Wyatt Burton so far in this lap, and he is coming for Wyatt Burton.
I think Fiore kind of missed his chance right here to make that pass. We've hit almost 10 laps since the pit stop. A lot of these guys in on somewhere between 44 and 46. So we're closing in on that crossover point where the all primary tires do start to be faster than the alternates. I think Fiore needed to make that pass on Cummings and check out a little bit to be able to play defense and hold on to the 4th spot. Right now, I think we've kind of hit that 10 lap mark, and the grip advantage has swapped back to Cummings. You can see him starting to pull away here. He's got it to nearly 8/10 down into turn 10. Fiore, I can tell, is trying really, really hard. The back end of that car wanted to step out on corner entry. He is right on the edge, but unfortunately just does not have the grip to be able to run Jake Cummings down. He's not out of it for sure, but each lap that he doesn't close in on Cummings, it's going to get even harder to make that pass. Meanwhile, it's a couple more tenths now for Ryan Whitlock closing in on the bumper of Wyatt Burton. That battle continuing to close up. As we take a check-in with our leader, haven't talked about him too much today. This is our Muhammad Alif, leading right now by 15 seconds, led most of the laps today, although on pit strategy gave up a few of those. He does also have the fastest lap after being able to push pretty hard. Actually on old tires, was able to keep grip and keep those Firehawks pretty right in their optimal range and able to turn some pretty good lap time. So don't want to forget about the guy. Even though he makes it look really easy, it is not. All the drivers that we've seen have some sort of spin, some sort of incident. Something we do want to update you on. Ricky Paz had a moment in turn 6 all by himself, got off track and got into the wall. So it's day done for the number 19. That leaves us with just 14 cars still in the race. And we are actually going to get a look at it here. Swings it off into the right-hander and just throttles up a little bit too soon. And as soon as those left side tires touch the grass, it is day done and nose first into the wall. Second incident of the day for Ricky Paz, and unfortunately, he will be scored 15th. We do want to take a moment to thank you all for watching. We appreciate the kind words in the chat. Everybody cheering on the CIL and our broadcast team. And so we want to shout out everybody who helps the CIL go around, all of our admins, stewards, broadcasters, and everybody else who makes the CIL happen. There's a lot of people and a lot of hands make quick work. If you'd like to find out more about the Collegiate iRacing League, if you want standings, schedules, broadcasts, and more, go on over to collegiateiRacingLeague.com. It's also where you can find up information on signing up and supporting the league if you are interested in doing either of those things. And you can check out our socials linked in the description of the YouTube video to show your support for the CIL. So thank you all for watching here from Road Atlanta. This is for sure not as good as Sandown. According to Clint Halterman, there are 10 laps to go, and we will see how this goes. We got to give Clint Halterman, man, a shout out too here. Wasn't even racing in this race. I thought he was. He had me fooled. He didn't realize he was sponsoring last night's race, but he is sponsoring both. So he's put in a good amount of effort this week to make sure that Sandown gets the recognition that it deserves. And despite all of that, I still have no idea where on the globe Sandown is located. So Clint Halterman's marketing may not have succeeded quite as much as he'd hoped. But nonetheless, we'll have to have a chat with him after this race.
As right now, we are running on board with Ryan Whitlock, who has closed down that gap from a 2.1 second gap. Ryan Whitlock has got it down to 0.7 of a second. Those soft tires are screaming in pain right now, while Ryan's tires are just now starting to come up to temp, now starting to push, now is ready to fight against Wyatt Burton for another time as they go into turn number 1. Ryan now 0.4 of a second. He is slowly starting to catch up as he is now driving through, mounts the curb, sets up for this next corner here so he can set himself up for the beautiful uphill S's. Gets nice and tight to the curbs. He is now closer and closer to Wyatt Byrne, and he gets an amazing run out here. But now there is some lap traffic that may come into play. Hopefully the driver of Josh Camphor just gets out of the way nice and easy, as Ryan Whitlock now first gear, second gear, third gear, no wheel spin, absolutely amazing traction out of the corner. Fourth gear, Wyatt Byrne is using the push to pass while Ryan Whitlock is not. But also Wyatt Byrne, I think, is getting a little bit of slipstream from the lap traffic in front of him, as they're now down the gears, down in the second gear, setting up the corner as the lap traffic gets in the way. And, oh my gosh, almost hits Ryan Whitlock, but they keep it going. Now Ryan Whitlock has to clean off those tires and go again. But by the way that he has been driving, it is not going to matter. That was almost a race-ending incident with Ryan Whitlock, who's been driving back. Now he is 2/10. It looks like Wyatt Byrne made a mistake going really slow as they're going side by side through the uphill S's, and Ryan Whitlock from 2.1 seconds down is now back into second place. And now he's going to try to run away from Wyatt Byrne. I have no idea what happened, but let me tell you, this has been exciting. What do you think, Cade?
Yeah, Burton had a couple of moments that lap where he gave up some time. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that the tires were screaming. The grip is just gone for the driver of the 26. You can actually see in the back of the picture, Jake Cummings is starting to creep into this battle. He's put some time on Ben Fiore, and he is faster than the 26 right now. Just nothing left in the proverbial tank for Wyatt Burton. It was a fantastic effort. Unfortunately, came up just 6 laps short. He is not out of this battle yet, but it's going to take a superhuman effort, I think, to overcome that grip deficit and go back up and catch the 81. We can see here how much push to pass is left. You mentioned Ryan Whitlock not using any at all. It's because he's only got 13 seconds left. Wyatt Burton still has 54. It's going to make him a lot faster down the straightaways, but as the gap grows to over half a second, I don't know if he has enough to get back to Whitlock here. Still over 6 laps to go. He'll have maybe one more opportunity, but he's going to have to make the absolute most of it if he wants to finish this race on the second rung of the podium.
Yeah, just like you said, Cade, 54 seconds of push to pass 2:13. If Wyatt wants to get by Ryan, he's going to use it now as both are on the push to pass, but Ryan has to get off a little bit quicker because he knows he does not have as much as Wyatt, but obviously both drivers do not know how many seconds each have in each other's car, unless they're talking about it in a chat somewhere, but I highly doubt that. But right now, Ryan just needs to put his head down, set some good laps, try to minimize any mistakes so he can pull away from Wyatt, but Wyatt now has to push to get back into position because he still has a lot more time of push to pass left, and like you said, Kate, he needs to start using that now, because if Ryan Whitlock starts holding back Wyatt, guess who's going to be joining the fight? Jake Cummins. There is about 6 laps left in the race, but this is racing. Anything can happen, as Wyatt Byrne now is still under the rear wing of Ryan Whitlock, as now they're coming to the slowest part of the track, carrying the speed nice and through. First gear, maybe second gear, minimize the wheel spin so you're not cooking your rear tires, especially for Wyatt Byrne's case, which are already screaming already as he is on the push to pass, going down into the chicane, but he's off of it pretty early. But I think he's also going to start using it, I think, around lap 63, as he is really deep on the brakes, right behind Ryan Whitlock, as he dips a little bit of tires. The car bottomed out when he was running over the curb, and it caused him to dip the tire and lose a little bit of time. But right now, Wyatt Byrne is just going to be focusing hard to minimize those mistakes, because those mistakes will cost him a second place position, as he is still stuck in the dirty air of Ryan Whitlock. But like I was saying, he needs to start using that push to pass now. What do you think, Cade?
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the job that Burton has done. I thought for sure as soon as Ryan Whitlock got clean air, he was going to be able to put the power down and just drive away from the 26. But in dirty air and with low grip, Burton has still been able to hold on. Look at how much he skates through turn 7 That was really gnarly. Lost him about a tenth of a second, but he managed to hang on to the car. And once again, if he can get on that push to pass, he can get in the slipstream, he's going to close a lot of that time back up down the straightaway at the stripe. They will have 4 laps to go. That'll be probably 4 or 5 more big opportunities for Burton to get on the brakes and outbrake the 81 to close up a big chunk of time. Right there in turn 10, he didn't do it. Whitlock got a better exit and drove away from Burton. But once again, the draft from the 20, the draft for the 26 rather, is going to keep him in this race for the second spot. Jake Cummings has closed down 4 tenths in the last couple of laps. He's another guy to keep an eye on as well. We did just have a car in the wall exit of turn 10. That was Brennan Lyman. Fortunately, heavy contact going to end the day for the rookie from OPSU. Had a good run inside the top 10. He's going to join 4 other drivers out of the race. A couple of penalties being handed out as well have dropped a couple of other drivers outside the top 10. But back up front, this battle's still there. It is still just half a second. 2 seconds back is Cummings. He is closing in. Could be a 3-car fight as they come to 3 laps to go.
These 3 laps is going to be very close, especially with Wyburn still staying right behind Ryan Whitlock. But if these guys start fighting, I would not be surprised if Jake Cummins joins the fight. I know he started P2 on the grid. I know he really wants to get back into second or at least finish on the podium. If he didn't have a little bit of an incident with a lap traffic entering the pit lane, he probably would be in this fight, but it does not matter because he is now closing in as much as he can. But I think Ryan Whitlock now is starting to push the throttle a little bit harder as he is starting to pull away a little bit from Wyburn. But 20 seconds ahead of Ryan Whitlock is our Muhammad Ali. He is just enjoying a nice drive here in Georgia. But we're here to see some racing. We are here to see some amazing battles like Wyburn, Jake Cummins, and Ryan Whitlock. As now Wyburn is now on the push to pass, trying to get ever so closer to Ryan Whitlock. Same thing with Jake Cummins. They're trying each other to get closer and closer, but right now it's just looking like a stalemate between second and third place. As we are now on lap 64 out of 65, only 2 more times through turn number 1. Wyburn doesn't have many opportunities left to try and catch Ryan Whitlock. He needs to use, I think, majority of his push to pass down this back straightaway. This time by, I think it's going to be the closest opportunity that he'll have, because when we cross that white the last lap, the white flag, he's not going to have another opportunity, as now he is falling a little bit further behind Ryan Whitlock, but getting closer to Jake Cummings, as now we are entering the slowest part of the track, where Wyburn's tires are definitely not happy with him right now. But guess who is going to be happy? Jake Cummins, as now the gap is 1.4 seconds. And Cade, take it away for this final lap with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, our Muhammad Ali has crossed the stripe, which means it's 1 lap to go, presented by the Longland Corporation. For all Napa know-how for your cars, trucks, SUV, and any other vehicle, the Longland Corporation has the Napa know-how to get you back on the road and get you exactly what you need. Go to www.napa.com to find out more. We thank them for sponsoring today's race. We thank Clint Halterman for sponsoring today's race. And we thank Wyatt Burton for putting on a great show. That car has been absolutely on edge for the last 5 laps. Been incredible to watch, but unfortunately just does not have the grip. Look, it uses up all of the curb tracks all the way out to that dirt. Gets as much power down as he can. Down through turn 6, the back end of the car going to come out as he gets all the way out to that curb. He actually closed up a lot there, but misses the apex just a little bit in turn 7, and unfortunately is going to lose a couple of tenths there. Now we take a look at your leader. Our Muhammad Ali crosses the stripe and wins. The Sandown is for sure better than this Grand Prix presented by Clint Halterman. Our Muhammad Ali takes the checkered flag, going to be his 3rd win of the season. All 3 of those wins coming on the road as Wyatt Burton has to dive out of the way to try to avoid some lap traffic. Jake Cummings is into him, wrecking in turn 10 on the final lap. Cummings missing a left front wing, but he's going to be able to limp it across the line in third. Wyatt Burton, if he can hold on to it, is going to finish in the 4th spot. Here comes Fior and Moody. They were nearly 3 wide across the line. Fior hangs on for a top 5. It's Moody, P6. Now we're looking at the battle for 8th. There was a lot that went on right there. Going to have to see a replay of that. Dylan Beatty grabs the 9th spot. Logan McKim there 1 lap down in 12th. Another car parked in the grass. I think that's Aaron Gosler. I have no idea what happened there, but it was chaos. The battle for 3rd, Ryan Whitlock snuck away from it, and then there was major contact behind them. We're going to take a look at the replay here. This is Wyatt Burton. You can see Ryan Whitlock just up the road, but there's going to be a lap car that's going to come between them. It was Aaron Gosler trying to get out of the way, but held the apex in turn 10. Burton gets back on the gas just a little bit too early. That car goes around. Cummings nails him, nearly flips, and tests out that aero screen. Luckily, the car comes back down on all 4 wheels. Burton has the presence of mind to get back on the throttle and start rolling forward, but in a car that has seen much better days on the very last lap, goes from having a chance at 2nd to finishing 4th, and then the battle for 5th behind them almost became the battle for the 4th spot as they rapidly caught that 26 car. Luckily, Burton able to hang on to P4. As we take a look at Muhammad Alif, who is for sure going to be glad that he avoided all of that chaos. Not sure if he's going to burn it down, but if he does, it was a much-deserved celebration. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to interview your podium finishers here from Road Atlanta.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Sandown is for sure better than this Grand Prix, where we've just seen a fantastic finish. Our Muhammad Alif got away with it and managed to take the win. It was Ryan Whitlock and Jake Cummings rounding out the podium, so we'll get an opportunity to talk to all of them. Here's the rest of your results. Wyatt Burton, Ben Fior rounding out the top 5 as Fior barely snuck ahead of Lucas Moody. Look at that, less than 0.07 of a second. Keegan Callick, Dylan Beatty, Nick Hendley, and Jake Dick all finishing the race and all finishing inside the top 10.
And in 11th, we have Josh Camphor from Kansas State University. In 12th, we have Logan McKim in the number 3. Then we have Aaron Goosler in 30. In the number 30, Gosler. And then in the 14th, in the number 78, we have Brendan Lyman from Oklahoma Panhandle State University. And then in 15th, we have Ricky Paz. In 16th, we have Steele Beasley, followed by Adrian Chubakovic. Then Cale Davidson, the number 2. And the last 2 positions, 19th and 20th, is the 123 of Drew Williams and number 5 of Willie Thala.
So now we're going to go ahead and bring a guy into the booth, the guy who dominated the day, R. Muhammad Alif. Welcome to the booth for the 3rd time this season. Congratulations on winning the event. Took it from the green flag, ran away with it, sat on the pole, and brought it home. But I do have to ask you, do you think that Sandown is better than Road Atlanta?
Well, I've never driven Sandown before, so I have no idea. But going off what Clint has been advocating, I guess so, but I don't think so. I mean, Road Atlanta is one of the top 10 tracks in the world. I mean, I've been to about 20 tracks, or 20 to 30 tracks in my lifetime, and yeah, Road Atlanta is definitely up there.
So talk to us, I guess, about kind of how technical this track is. Obviously, it's a very renowned track. It's a track that gets a lot of recognition, mainly for IMSA, but a lot of series racing there. Even just running by yourself, which you did for a lot of the day, how challenging is it with all of these blind and narrow corners, navigating the curbs, all of the things that you got to deal with here?
Yeah, it's such a technical track. I mean, having been there in real life, you kind of just give that track even more of a respect. Seeing how just one small mistake into turn 3 or turn 5, that's the end of the race. So yeah, it's just a beautiful track. So that's all I can say. And the iRacing version isn't even like fully updated to the current layout or current laser scan. So it's even better in the current one.
All right. Well, you definitely made it look a little bit easier than it apparently is. So once again, congratulations. Congrats to all of the Ball State guys as well. Seemed like a lot of you guys had really solid races today. We didn't talk about them at all, or at least not very much. And I think that's a good thing, seeing as many drivers were involved in incidents. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to them. And before we let you go here, I think we owe you this from a previous race as well. Is there anybody that you would like to shout out?
Yeah, my whole team here in Ball State, my esports directors, Dan and BK, the road team, oval team, whole Ball State, and my parents from back home.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week. Good luck at Barber.
Thank you.
That was your race winner, R. Muhammad Alif. Now we're going to get a chance to talk to the guy who just barely came up close, not quite able to get it done. Jonathan standing by with second-place finisher Ryan Whitlock.
Ryan, congratulations on your second place finish. You were the only driver in the top 5 to put on the softer compound tires. What was your thought process when you decided to put on the softer compound tires to start the stint?
I mean, at the start of the race, I ultimately just didn't want to be on the slower tire for the first few laps. And at the end of the stint, I was definitely paying that price, but I think I managed to make several moves in like the first 2 or 3 laps. So I think track position-wise, it paid off. And then on the second stint, I decided I'll put on the primaries, see which tire I like more, and that allowed me to make the decision I did for the final stint.
And speaking of tires, you were doing a great job with managing your tires really well throughout the whole entire race, especially the last stint when you were catching wide berm. What was going through your head when he originally got by you and started pulling away, and then when you caught back up to him?
Well, I mean, I wasn't surprised that Wyatt got by me because he had a 2-lap overcut, which is almost always an advantage in IndyCar. But I was surprised to see him put on alternates because, like I said at the end of the first stint, I mean, they just went away. I was losing probably well over a second a lap, whereas the Blackwall primaries just got better. So I knew that within like 5 or so laps, Wyatt's tires just weren't going to be as good as mine anymore, and I would only keep getting quicker till the end of the stint. So I knew I could get by him eventually. I certainly didn't expect to do it in the way that I did. But yeah, I just knew that my pace was good and that I was going to eventually have a tire advantage.
Well, congratulations once again on a P2 finish. Is there anyone you would like to thank for this podium finish?
Yeah, I want to shout out all my teammates at UAH and Charger Motorsports. We're starting to do a lot more work on our real life projects now, so that's a lot of fun. Be sure to check us out on socials. I think we're at UAH_motorsports on most socials. And I definitely want to shout out Orange Wheel Racing and the whole of the admin team. A lot of us are stepping down after this semester to focus on life and more important things, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. It's been really fun. I've made some great friends that I'll probably have for the rest of my life. So I just got to thank all those guys for being so great to work with over the past couple of years, and obviously you guys for broadcasting and stepping up in the booth when we need it when I'm away deciding to abandon you to drive.
Well, thank you so much for the love that you have provided CIL, and congrats once again on the P2 finish. Great job.
Thank you.
And now, Cade, we are going to be pulling in P3, and I think he's waiting for an amazing interview.
Yes, he is. We're standing here with Jake Cummings, who at the last second manages to swoop in and steal P3. Jake, I got to ask, what goes through your mind when you're looking at the sky on the exit of turn 10, and then you've got to limp that car back home to finish in the third spot?
Just kind of like Ricky Bobby. Yep, I am in the air. This is not good. We were playing a bit of Rocket League there off that final corner. Yeah, that was just a silly situation. Honestly, I don't know if that was the same guy as the first one, but we had a separate incident with another lapper earlier on in the race in the middle stint where it was Ryan, Wyatt, me, and Ben all in a pack saving fuel together, and some lapper in the same spot on the track like just totally got in the way of me and Ben, and then it separated all of us, and it really changed the outlook of how those last few laps going. Because man, once I got past Ben on that early on in that final stint, I just kept catching them, and it felt really good. The pace was really good, and then ended a little sillily, but I guess I still got a podium out of it, so pretty good overall.
Yeah, I'd give you a
Yeah.
pat on the back. I mean, you had the pace to be there. You were close enough to Burton to capitalize on the mistakes, so certainly I wouldn't feel any guilt taking that third spot. But I do want to congratulate you as well for winning last week on Long Beach, and then parlaying that forward. Are you kind of feeling some momentum getting built up here now that you've kind of been able to put a lot of really good results together back to back and really, pushing that into the second half of this season?
Yeah, especially considering I did the Indy Road to Pro race, and I got wrecked out like a little past halfway through, so I had like 7 minutes of practice. But also I was trying to do some practice earlier today, but the iRacing was down, so didn't really get it. But honestly, compared to the LMP2, it's kind of the same like kind of driving style, so it felt pretty good pretty quickly. So yeah, been good to be in a groove. Definitely just focusing on enjoying myself and not trying too hard, just kind of going like 99.5%. Gotta not have any mistakes. And well, I mean, I didn't make any mistakes tonight, unless you count that last bit, but I mean, whatever. Yeah, so yeah, it's been good. And then Barber is going to be tough, but then we have another oval. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And yeah, just keep having fun.
Well, best of luck too. I know you got a lot going for you in life right now, a lot of good things going on. So before we let you go here, is there anybody that you'd like to thank?
I thank my wife, who actually is not in my apartment right now. Thank her, and I'll thank Converse Esports and Tech Sport Academy, and of course you guys for putting on a pretty good show for it. I hope it was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, you guys put on a great race. Thanks for coming out and running, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week after Barber.
Yep, have a good night.
You too. That was Jake Cummings, your P3 finisher here at Road Atlanta. We've got one more guy to talk to, the Unk, who finishes the best out of the Unks on the night. That's the oldest, one of the old guys, the highest finishing alumni. Ben Fior from Marist University is standing by with Jonathan Nicasio.
Congratulations, Ben, on winning the UNC category. I mean, the alumni category.
Hey, don't do me like that. Come on now. Please. It's not easy getting older, John.
But no, overall, congratulations. You were pretty consistent throughout. What was the thought process of being as consistent as you were and being in contention to fight for the top spots?
Yeah, really going to this race, I had no idea because right before this, I was doing the Indy Road to Pro qualifying where I got certified belt to a certain part of your body, which is very painful to get hit by it. So registered with 3 seconds left, came into this race and was like, we're gonna go in qualifying. Never ran a lap with this car in the Indy car on the new tire models. I'm like, we're just gonna mess around. Qualified 7th, which puts us in a good spot for this race because we're in a spot where we didn't have to take the alternate tire at the start of the race. So I was like, we'll go on primes. We'll just sit back. We'll save fuel and a lot of times through a lot of the pit stops, we're able to cycle out, saving fuel and come out and gain some position. So, just kind of run around, do our own race, not try to race anybody till the end was kind of a big key part. And I mean, being able to find some pace pretty quickly, considering the lack of practice was also, I think a pretty contributing factor through it. So I would have liked P4 or P3, but top 5 though is not a bad result considering.
Well, with that age comes wisdom, as you have just provided. And speaking of the almost coming close to a P4 position, what was your thought process when you were coming across the hill and you were seeing a injured car coming across the finish line?
I was like, why didn't this come out about 64 laps ago? Considering we're at Roland, and last night this race was absolutely carnage for the sports cars. Shout out CSC. I mean, with just how fast these cars are. I just would have thought we would have had honestly an incident earlier, like lap 1 or 2, when we were double file to turns 1 and 2. But come up the last lap, I saw the caution, and I'm like, all right, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a car doing a kickflip? Is there a car going to be midways across the racetrack? And then I just saw Wyatt absolutely busted without his front wing, and Jake was hopping across the line, and I was just like, oh, maybe so. But if maybe I had done a better fuel management the last time, we could have definitely gotten by and still with a P4, maybe a P3, but. Yeah, I was definitely not expecting that because we were pretty clean the whole race and at the front of the field. But yeah, that definitely threw a wrench, almost threw a big wrench in the plans, and really shamed the Wyatt for getting involved with that, and Jake too. They were both running really good races throughout. So shame to see it happen, but you know what? A little fun at Royal Atlanta for CIL is not a bad thing.
Well, congratulations once again, Ben, for winning the alumni class. Is there anyone you would like to thank for this win?
Let's see. In terms of thanks, I want to thank all my boys at O'Connell Sim Sports. We do a great job of prepping some of the guys you see out in Formula College and in the other CIL series. So big shout out to all the guys. The work we've been doing throughout this season has been really awesome. Through the good times and the bad. Shout out my mom and dad for putting up with me yelling at the top of my lungs for the last couple nights running Cup, CSC last night and FC tonight. It's not easy dealing with a guy who's going fast in a virtual car in his seat. So I appreciate them putting up with it. And shout out Moser Racing for not failing on me. And yeah, shout out Maris. I mean, I'm no longer a student there. I'm kind of an unk, but shout out all my friends and fam out there from Red Fox Country, and shout out AJ, our former esports pres, for giving the love and support to the racing while we've been out here. So shout out to all those folks.
Well, congratulations once again, Ben, for winning the UNC category. And hopefully we will be interviewing you again next week at Barber.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
So that was Ben Fiore, again, the highest finishing alumni driver in the field, beat out Josh Kempfer for that honor, able to get a P5 overall. Really solid run for him. Like you said, didn't have too much practice on this car, but was able to hop in the seat and get it done. So overall, a fairly tame race at Road Atlanta. Not a whole lot going on there for those guys, but we saw a little bit of carnage at the end. We saw some incidents, and several drivers failed to make it to the end. So a little bit of a surprise maybe with the kind of they got strung out, but they were still able to have some really, really good battles, put on a little bit maybe better racing than I was necessarily expecting. So I would say a pleasant surprise for me. Jonathan, was there anything that you noticed that you want to comment on about that race?
I was just very happy that there was no carnage on the first lap going through the S's. Everyone was very patient, which was amazing to see in every battle that we have saw. Minus maybe the last one was very clean and really well respectful and aggressive and hard driving. So overall, I think everyone did a great job, and I think all the drivers should be really proud of themselves.
And I agree. I think it was a fantastic race. And if you would like to see even more of that, we'll be doing it again next week here. Same YouTube channel, same time. That race will be at 7:45 Central Time. That's 8:45 for all you folks on the East Coast. Green flag going to drop at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. here Central Time. That will be at Barber for the Slick Tires and Shenanigans Grand Prix, presented by the Longland Corporation. But if you don't want to wait until next Thursday to get your fix of the Collegiate iRacing League, our Yum 2 College Cup Series will be racing the NASCAR Next Gen cars at Homestead, Miami on Monday. That race sure to be a fantastic 133 laps down in Florida. Same time, same YouTube channel with the wonderful Alex Gagnon and Brad Daniels. So we hope that you'll tune in to watch those races. Join us again for more fantastic racing action. We hope you've enjoyed today's live coverage of the Sandown is for sure better than this Grand Prix, brought to you by Clint Halterman and the lovely folks at Orange Wheel Racing. Have a great night, and thank you all for tuning in.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.